Hello and welcome back to ARAH, the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Costume Club YouTube channel. I am your founder. I am your host. I think I was supposed to say that in the other way, but oh well. Um, I'm Wild Bill Hardy. So without further ado, let us get back into the discussion at hand. And this series of videos here, we are discussing Article 8, which is the merchandising and promotional standards. We have just recently, the previous video, we discussed fundraisers and accepting donations. And I got a little passionate about that because, well, it's important. So, yeah. Promotional standards. This is kind of it's like several paragraphs in and of itself, so it's probably going to be its own video. So let's go into it here. Promotional items are any items that are used to promote the club, whether it is club literature or merchandise used for promotional purposes. All promotional materials are to bear the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero Costume Club logo. It's on my shirt. Identifying marks such as, but not limited to, club logos or club website content. Yeah, it kind of lost my train of thought there. Basically, our promotional standards are such that, it bears our logo, it bears our name, it bears our likeness. That way it identifies that it is us. Okay. Things like the club logo, trademarked words and phrases are representative of the G.I. Joe franchise as owned by Hasbro Inc. All right, I keep saying a lot. Yo-Joe, Cobra, known as Half the Battle. Okay, those are all things they're trademarked. They are owned. Those phrases are owned by Hasbro. Okay, as such, any use of the trademarked material is to be used sparingly and in such a manner that reflects Hasbro Inc. in a positive light. All merchandise, swag, and promotional materials should be devoid of any vulgarity, profanity, lewd remarks, and references, etc. All swag and promotional materials should avoid copywritten material as possible, but may be used with the express consent of the Sector Command Quartermaster. While swag is distributed according to the regulations, promotional materials such as informational leaflets and the like may be distributed to any member of the club membership body or general public. So what I was getting at that was like for instance, business cards, right? We can mass produce them and then we can issue them out to everybody. That's something that can be given to the general public because it's a promotional tool for the club. We can have like 1,000 business cards made up, and then we can send a bundle of them to, members across the United States or whatever. Even to our international folks, like, we have one up in British Columbia, we have one in Germany. We could send some of those out to them, and then they could pass them out at events that they participate in, conventions, whatnot. So, just so long as everything is above board and it follows the standards. So there is the occasional need for spotters for our costumed members at events. Okay, this falls under, I don't know why I had it really under merchandising or promotional, but in the sense that if they're wearing shirts, they're wearing club shirts. I wanted to denote somewhere, and it's important. So there's an occasional need for spotters for our costume members at events. These individuals shall never wear any article of clothing that depicts them as security or staff. Security implies that they are licensed professionals, licensed security professionals. I don't know how it is in every state, but here in Oregon, you actually have to be licensed to work security. I did it for 6 years. I mean, I am a former security officer myself. It is a $1,500 fine here in the state of Oregon if you ever caught practicing security without a license. Huge. Okay. So staff implies that they work for the facility that the event may be held. Spotters should wear club-related apparel, or spotters who wear club-related apparel may wear articles of clothing that depict the wearer as spotter. I would even allow support. But see, spotter is one of those phrases that it's unique enough that it's very specific, right? So it very much says what this person is doing, and it kind of it shows who that person belongs to. Like no one is ever going to see a spotter and think, oh, that's the building's maintenance folks, right? No one's ever going to be like, oh, well, and if they're wearing security, they're going to think that, well, I'm not club security. I must be security for the venue. That's the thing that we need to avoid that. Right. So if a wearer needs to have identifying apparel that associates themselves with the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Costume Club, that wearer shall wear apparel that depicts them as an individual, like I said, as spotter. Or, like I said, I would even allow support, club support, ARAH club support, or even ARAH member, something along those lines. Only wear ARAH member if you're an actual ARAH member. But if you're a spotter, you're a guest, anything that says, if you have to have an identifying apparel, spotter is probably going to be the best, followed by probably support. Okay. All merchandise, swag, and promotional materials shall be available at the booth. I'm getting ahead of myself. For instance, if we're at a convention, right? So all merchandise, swag, and promotional materials shall be available at both the club level and local team level, right? And if you are selling merchandise at a booth, right? Again, make sure you're following guidelines. Make sure that those club swag is appropriate to whoever it is you're selling to. If you are selling swag to the general public, then make sure that it is general public swag and not member only swag. Okay. But they are, for all intents and purposes, the club, when it has swag and, and it has promotional materials, it's available to everybody. It's available to every team member. It's available to every club member. We'll finite those details later on how to get those promotional items to you, right? All merchandise, swag, and other promotional materials may never be distributed in any other point of sale other than club and or team websites. Okay. The exception to that is if we are selling swag to the public for a specific fundraiser, again, that's going to be something that you got to get that approved by your sector command quartermaster, because that's kind of his or her wheelhouse. Until then, come talk to me whether I'll authorize that or not. Okay. But for the most part, our stuff is sold through our social media outlets, either on Facebook or on our website. Okay. All merchandise, swag, and other promotional merchandise may never be tied to any other commercial entity, for the exception of Hasbro Inc., or unless Hasbro Inc. has given very specific permission for said merchandise, swag, and or promotional items to be tied to another commercial entity. And that goes without saying, like I was talking about in the previous video about wanting to build the Armadillo mini tank, or wanting to build the water moccasin, or or build any prop, right? We are not to be tied to any commercial entity. And I've pretty much explained that, right? Because it's at that point that commercial entity owns that prop because they paid for it. They own us to a certain degree, and that doesn't sit well with Hasbro. So we don't do that. Okay, so we will not do that. I think that pretty much covers the promotional standards. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns about promotional standards, drop them below in the comments. If there's something here that I haven't covered that you think is important that relates to promotional standards, do please. I thought I was thorough enough to cover all potential loopholes. I mean, that one of the reasons why this charter was originally 36 pages long is because I tried to think of every loophole that could have possibly existed, and I tried to cover them so that there were no loopholes, so that people weren't going to circumvent rules and potentially get us in a bind. But if there's anything here that I have overlooked, do please reach out to me. I'd appreciate that. So with that said, your comments, questions, or concerns are they're highly encouraged. Please, I welcome them. So with that, Yojo Cobra, known as Half the Battle, and we will talk to you again real soon in another video regarding vendor guidelines and responsibilities. And then we'll probably go into, recasting and vendor blacklists are following that, but recasting is probably going to take a while to explain. So at the very least, vendor guidelines and responsibilities are forthcoming. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you. Have a good day.